Welcome back, Lab Insiders. Joining me is Dr. Samantha Kanza. She is a PhD from the University of Southampton. She has quite the resume as Senior Enterprise Research Fellow, a coordinator at the AI for Science Discovery Network, as well as being a coordinator of the Future Blood Testing Network. Today, we'll be doing our Q&A session, which means quick questions, speedy answers. Welcome back, Samantha.
Welcome up. Hi.
Great to have you back. We had an amazing main episode. Make sure to check that out, guys. But in this one, we'll be talking very quickly and responding even faster. Where do you see the innovations in lab digitization going?
I think that we need to stop thinking that one piece of software or one new electron lab notebook is going to magically fix everything. I see innovation moving towards opening things up, formalizing our data standards, and enabling all the different pieces of software that we already have, that people already like and already use, to work together so that we can actually use all of them seamlessly together. And I really think a big thing will also be data format converters, because I think that's a huge thing that we need. So that people can easily take data out of one thing and put it into another.
Where do you see the lab going in 5 years' time?
I see smart labs, more and more smart labs, and more use of different novel types of technology. So the use of voice, further digitization, but also the use of more and more hybrid technologies. So those kind of either smart notebooks or tablets. I don't see people taking laptops into the lab and writing straight into a book with those, an ELM with those. I just don't think it's going to happen. So I think we need to think outside the box, and we need to say, what are the different ways we can get data out of the lab electronically? And voice and sensors and writing down into things that take things into at least a digital format is definitely the way, I think.
How well do you think labs are prepared for the challenges of the future?
I would like to think they're much more prepared now, post-COVID. I'm not sure they were as well prepared before, but I think a lot of lessons have been learned. And I think as long as we hold on to those, and you do make sure that all of your data is stored in a way that if the lab set on fire, you'd all still be able to access everything.
What do you think is the most important thing that needs to change?
We need to change the culture. We need to change the culture that you should only digitize what works. We need to digitize things that don't work. And we need to encourage people to publish all of their results, irrespective of whether they're counted as a success or not. We need to teach students to write up their work digitally, and we need to teach them the importance of digitization from really early age and catch them early and teach them those good habits so that they don't end up with bad habits later down the line. And above all, we need everybody to understand how important reproducibility is. And we need to start mandating much higher standards for reproducibility.
If you have any advice that you'd be willing to share with fellow lab managers, what piece of advice would that be?
So I think keep with the times and be aware of the times is really important. Don't hold on to the past and being really happy with your paper-based system. I'm afraid that is the past, and we need to move forward. Look for the quick wins in the areas you can digitize easily. So, for example, are there things you could be taking photos of? Are there things you could be scanning in? Even just taking a picture of your lab notebook before you leave the lab, that is better than nothing. So think about those quick wins. And obviously, I really appreciate this as a cost thing, and it is much easier to do in industry than academia. Well, I guess depending on how much money your industry has. But replacing legacy equipment and making sure that we can actually use up-to-date equipment with up-to-date software is really, really, really important, because otherwise those labs are going to stay stuck in the dark ages.
Are there any trends or fads or fashions that we should look out for?
I mean, I do think smart devices and smart assistants are a big thing. Like, people are using, I know that Siri went a bit mad when everyone first had it, because we can ask Siri to do something, and then there was kind of a massive drop because maybe people either got bored or they didn't find voice recognition that useful or that helpful. But I think given how much people seem to use voice stuff nowadays, and given how prevalent smart homes and smart devices and Alexa and everything is, I really think that those are, that's a trend that has gone on in the home and is slowly working its way into the lab. So I suppose it's always worth looking at new technology and new inventions and thinking, okay, this is how people are using them in their personal lives, in their homes, etc. How could we use that for the lab? Is that viable? And kind of opening yourself up to the possibility that maybe we could bring those technologies into the lab.
Are there any recommended readings or any media that that you're looking into that you'd recommend for us?
Well, obviously I'd be very remiss of me as a researcher if I didn't say go and read my article.
Of course.
So there's a really good book, which, again, I did contribute a few chapters to, but all the it is a large book that was not just written by me. I think maybe some of the pages are by me in a very, very large book, but it's a Digital Transformation of the Laboratory, a Practical Guide to the Connected Lab. It's a Wiley book. And there's a lot of really, really useful insights in that. And also a book that my colleague wrote, Keris Willoughby, who did her PhD with Jeremy before me, but it's called Recording Science in the Digital Era, from Paper to Electronic Lab Notebooks and Other Digital Tools. Actually, no, let me do that one again, sorry. Recording Science in the Digital Era, from Paper to Electronic Notebooks and Other Digital Tools. Keris has done a lot of work on process recording as well, and has done a hell of a lot of work on the user side of things, and understanding what the users need and the workflow and everything. So I think those two books have a wealth of information in them.
Dr. Samantha Kanza, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
That was Dr. Samantha Kanza of the University of Southampton, joining us here on our Q&A session. Make sure to like and subscribe and watch our main episode as well. Thanks for watching. See you next time.